Widad Taleb. Widad Taleb is an activist in Beirut. She's Beirut-based. She's been through the whole scenario from the beginning of the revolution through the economic crisis and then the COVID pandemic and more recently the Beirut port explosion. Now, hi Widad. Hi, how are you?
Hello.
So Widad, we'd like to go ahead and ask you, how was experiencing the Beirut port explosion? Where were you? How did it feel to be in a city where it happened? So it was, one of the biggest non-nuclear explosions in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Where I was actually at my apartment, and I was getting ready to go to a protest in an area that's extremely close to the port where the explosion happened. And while I was getting ready, I suddenly like felt the entire room shake, and then everything. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Oh, is that an
Power.
electricity cut?
Yes, the power cut off.
So for those who don't know, Beirut has very often power cuts.
Yeah,
It's
we
a
don't have
very,
electricity over here. I'm very sorry. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it's very,
So I
very
was
typical
saying,
Lebanon 101. Yeah.
yeah. So I was saying, I was getting ready, and then I just felt the entire apartment shake. So I automatically thought it's an earthquake, and I was trying to hide under a table, and then I just felt like everything exploded and broke.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that it was an explosion. I literally thought the explosion was in my building. Intense, although it happened like around 3 kilometers away from me. My first reaction was I couldn't breathe. I was like panicking, crying, trying to get a hold of my phone, but I wasn't able to because I was shaking. And then I got the hold of my friends and I told them, I asked them like, what's going on? What's happening? No one was really like aware of what's happening. Everyone felt like the explosion happened in their own place. And then all the videos of the explosion just started to arrive to my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I realized that it's a huge explosion at the port. My first reaction was I couldn't move from my place for like an hour. I
Mm-hmm.
stayed in one place, like I stayed on the chair for an hour until one of my friends, like he had to come and drag me out of my apartment. We went down on the street. We were just like looking around. Everything was broken around us. Everything was extremely vague. We went to the nearest hospital, to the ER section to see if anyone needs any help or basically if anyone needs anything. Uh, all I could see was people who were injured, people who were covered in blood and crying and just like looking for others and not really understanding what was going on. Um, all of that time, I was just extremely shocked and not really aware of how intense the situation was. And I kept thinking that another explosion is going to happen at any second and just like kill me, like right then and there. It was the worst day of my entire life, if I would like to like uh, describe it briefly.
And on the shorter term, how did you deal with it on a personal level? How did the people of Lebanon deal with such a tragic event? So what was the maybe shorter term reaction?
Yeah. My first like reaction by instinct was the next day, me and all of my friends decided to go down to the streets and just like roam the area and see who needs any kind of help or support or anything. So that's basically what we did. I think it was like everyone's coping mechanism just to go down to the streets and help and figure out what to do next. All we could do for the next week or so is just be there for people in the area of the explosion and just like clean up the glass, clean up the rubbles, and clean up everything. That was like the kind of short-term coping mechanism that I had, including I think like minor post-traumatic symptoms such as not being able to sit calmly in an open place or in public or even at home because that's where I was during the explosion. Um, yeah, basically that was like the short-term coping mechanism that I had and that all of the Lebanese people had. Just like being extra aware and extra alert of possibly something else happening, and just trying as much as they possibly can to help everyone who is in need.
And now it's been almost 2 months. So it's been almost 2 months and a few days after the port explosion.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you on two different levels. So the first one would be, what is you and the society's way of dealing with it, and has accountability taken place? So what happened with the investigation? How was it dealt with?
Okay. I'm gonna start with how me and the society is kind of dealing with it right now, 2 months later. On a personal level, I have been diagnosed by a few therapists with PTSD. It's extremely intense and it's extremely real. Um, all I can like feel is not safe, and all I can feel is just like guilt for kind of surviving this whole thing, and a lot of people dying, a lot of people getting injured, and I'm just like, I was supposed to be so close to that explosion and I survived it. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what's triggering all of my PTSD symptoms. The fact that I lived such a catastrophic event.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting a lot of panic attacks. I'm kind of feeling hopeless. I'm feeling like I'm losing my mind, going crazy, and all of the symptoms that are associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. I feel like most of the Lebanese citizens are feeling the same way. Maybe not all of them are aware of what this is. They just, I don't know. Um, yeah, people are. It's kind of a bit shocking how people are still trying to be extremely strong in light of everything that happened. It actually helps me stay strong, and it helps me like cope with everything that's happening, knowing that everyone is going through the same thing and trying to be as resilient and strong as possible in terms of society. People are being like extremely giving, they're being extremely understanding, they're trying to be there for everyone right now. It's like a collective healing from everything that happened that's going on in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
As for the investigation, uh, the day that the explosion happened, I believe the day preceding it, um, they were like, I mean, the government and the state were like, we need around 5 to like 1 week in order to like investigate the whole thing, and we have no idea what happened with that investigation until today.
Okay, and I saw a few statements once the FBI said, because they're involved in the investigation, they said that, well, it was an accident, and then again a week later they stated that it was not an accident, that was purposely done. So how do you feel first about having a foreign entity intervene in investigation? And second of all, do you trust it? So do you think they're right that it wasn't, it was purposely done?
To be honest, when I first started hearing all these speculations, all I could think of was, for me and for a lot of people, I didn't really care if it was an accident or if it was something that was planned or whatever, because to me, all I was thinking was, how can anyone leave 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate in the middle of the capital of the country? Later on, I started to think about everything, and I started to hear the speculations. I started to hear the statements that were being given by officials, by people who were investigating, even by foreign entities who were investigating in this issue. And I honestly just don't feel like I can trust I don't feel like I can trust my own government. So having a foreign entity kind of like figure things out and kind of like investigate in this is something that I believe everyone would need in order to feel like maybe it would be a bit more genuine or like credible, because we do not have credible uh, judges. We don't have like the whole investigation would not be credible if it happened locally, I believe.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear. And I wanted to ask you the last question. So, what now, moving forward, on a personal level, how does Widad before August 4, how is she different from after it, and how will she act differently, or if she will act differently whatsoever?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Before August 4, I was participating in protests, anti-government protests and anti-corruption, etc. After August 4, I had this kind of like motivation to continue what I was doing
Mm.
with double the force, with double the effort, double the motivation. But as time is passing, I'm just like feeling like kind of afraid because of the explosion, because of my own personal experience with it. Although I know that a lot of people and a lot of the Lebanese youth specifically are looking for a way to get out of the country. That's what
Mhm.
everyone is aspiring to do right now, just applying for jobs abroad, graduating, and like looking for masters abroad and whatnot. I feel like there's a dilemma, uh, like among the youth of Lebanon, of whether they should stay and fight and like fight the corruption, fight the everything that's happening, or just leave, leave the country and try to like restart their lives elsewhere. I feel like I'm still stuck in that dilemma, but something tells me to just stay here and figure out if I would have a chance to like participate in anything that would cause any kind of positive change in the country. But
Mhm.
I know for a fact that if right now some opportunity opens to me to leave to something better outside and to restart my life, I just feel like I'm starting to put myself first. You know what if that makes any
Yeah.
sense? So I
Uh,
feel like if any opportunity comes to me right now, I wouldn't say no.
actually have a question from the audience, and it's has the economic struggles had an impact the way people view the world?
Um, of course, I feel like I don't know if Travis means the way people view the world in terms of mentally, maybe like you know, um, they might like struggle with depression because of the economic struggles. They might struggle with anxiety. They might struggle with demotivation. A lot of these aspects are affecting most of the Lebanese people. They just feel like they're demotivated. Life has no meaning. They have no escape from this, or no nothing can help them get out of it. And this is extremely, I believe, it's extremely intense and it's extremely sad that people are going through this, because once people reach that stage mentally and just they just view the world as if it's something negative and just like meaningless, it's very hard to get out of that, and it's very hard to like fight once you're in that state.
With that, thank you so much for your input, and we hope
You're
you feel
very
better
welcome.
soon. And the whole world is with you and with everyone going through these struggles, especially due to the Beirut port explosion that affected almost 500,000 people. So thank you, Widad, for sharing your story with us and
Thank
for
you
being
very
here
much.
on HAPS. Have a great rest of the day.